This is a story that few people know, and those who have heard it still hesitate to believe it. In 1994, Daniel Harper, an ordinary man, vanished without a trace. 30 years later, he was found alive under circumstances that defy all logic and terrify even the experts. How did he survive? What really happened to him? Get ready to hear the chilling tale of a man who spent 3 decades locked in a forgotten cell. Daniel Harper was 35 years old when he was last seen. A family man, he led a quiet life in a small Midwestern town in the United States. A respected accountant, Daniel was known for his strict routine. Every morning, he left home at 7:30 to go to work, and every evening, he returned at 6 p.m. sharp to have dinner with his wife and daughter. But on June 14, 1994, everything changed. That day, Daniel didn't come home. His phone went unanswered, and his co-workers confirmed that he had left the office as usual. A few hours later, his car was found abandoned on a desolate road 15 kilometers from his house, but there was no trace of him. The police launched an investigation. Searches, interrogations, and tireless efforts were made to find Daniel, but no solid leads emerged. Days turned into weeks, then months. Gradually, hope faded. His family was devastated, believing he had either fallen victim to a crime or chosen to disappear voluntarily. What no one knew was that Daniel hadn't run away. He had been taken. Daniel had been abducted by a group working for a mysterious organization. Their objective? To study the effects of total isolation on the human mind. Daniel had been transformed into a test subject, locked in a tiny underground cell, sealed airtight. The cell was inhumanly cold, for concrete walls, a dim flickering light hanging from the ceiling, and a thin mattress placed on the floor. A small hatch in the door was the only opening, used to deliver just enough food and water to keep him alive. No human contact. No windows. No sound, except for his own breathing and heartbeat. At first, Daniel screamed and pounded on the walls, hoping someone would hear him. But days passed and no one came. His screams turned into whispers and eventually silence. Isolation was taking its toll. After 2 years, the organization decided to abandon the project. They sealed the door to the cell and left the building, leaving Daniel to his fate, forgotten in his underground prison. Alone in the darkness, Daniel faced a struggle no human being should endure: the fight to stay sane. Days and nights blurred together. Stripped of any sense of time, he began to lose touch with reality. To keep himself from going mad, he started talking to himself, inventing dialogues and reciting memories from his past life. But as the years went by, those memories became hazy, like distant dreams. The oppressive silence of the cell became horrifying. Daniel began to hear imaginary noises, voices, and saw shadows in the darkness. What was real and what wasn't no longer mattered. He was alone and he knew it. In 2024, 30 years after Daniel's disappearance, a real estate developer purchased the building where the cell was located. While exploring the basement, workers stumbled upon a strange, sealed, rusted door. Intrigued, they decided to open it. What they discovered defied imagination. In one corner of the cell, curled up on the floor, was a man, Daniel Harper. He was still alive but unrecognizable. His hair, long and matted, reached down to his knees. His pale skin, marked with scars, had aged prematurely. His nails had grown into claws, and his eyes, accustomed to the darkness, shone like those of a wild animal. When they pulled him out of the cell, Daniel screamed and thrashed, unable to endure the light and noise of the outside world. Doctors who examined him later declared that he was in a state of animalistic survival. His mind had adapted to isolation to keep him alive, but he was no longer capable of functioning in society. When Daniel's story became public, it shocked the world. How had he survived for 30 years? Who was responsible for this inhuman act? Despite extensive investigations, the identity of those who had abducted him remains a mystery. But the most terrifying question of all still lingers: how many other cells like this one exist, forgotten in the depths of the world? Daniel Harper survived what no one else could endure, but at the cost of his humanity. Today, he lives in a specialized institution, unable to reintegrate into society. This story is a chilling lesson about the dangers of isolation and the secrets the world tries to hide. Do you think this experiment could have been prevented? Let me know in the comments.